Sauce.
Hey, you like Pez?
It looks like that. Here's Heaney from the boundary line. He's an expert at these. From the boundary line!
Hello and welcome to Behind the Boundary podcast. I'm your host Pez. I'm here with Sauce. It's a final four, down to four, 2 preliminary finals coming up. It's the weekend of the fans.
It is the weekend of the fans, Pez. It's going to be a huge weekend in Melbourne for the MCG, obviously 95,000 or 94,362 Collingwood fans and then about 70 GWS fans. And a big moment for Carlton fans, you know, them hiking up to Brisbane, sitting around TVs and pubs. It'd be a huge weekend for Victoria.
Speaking about hiking up, the airlines hiking up the prices during the week to get the baggers across the line. I heard one bloke on the radio earlier in the week secured his airfare after the Sydney win up to Brisbane. Because he thought, you know what?
Confidence,
We're
baby.
going to beat Melbourne. I'll get my airfare there, and hopefully you got a ticket to the Gabba.
And if not school holidays, you can always just have a week in the Sunshine Coast and go to the game anyway. But that's very clever. That's confidence. So I like that.
Yeah, I think the prices went up. I don't know what the amounts were, but like
I
Tuesday
saw some
to Wednesday,
like
up to Thursday,
$1,600.
it was it's a bit ridiculous. I don't know how they're allowed to do that. You know, they know there's an event coming on. People are probably going to pay it. It's supply and demand, isn't it?
It really is. I know that someone came out from the AFL saying that they should stop and try and hiking up the prices. But why wouldn't you? The airfare has got to, as you said, supply and demand. They're got to make their buck, Pez. But it was almost not that way. If Melbourne had kicked accurately, it would have been. Melbourne fans trying to hike up to I was about to say Sydney, Brisbane.
Yeah, a lot of talk with that. 9 goals, 17 to 11 goals, 7, and Carlton just took their opportunity and came through there at the end with a few errors from Melbourne and 6 behinds in a row and a rewatch of that last quarter is pretty ludicrous.
Definitely ludicrous there, Pez. Great word, great use of your adjectives there. But there was some definitely concerning signs for Melbourne. That's, again, very well documented. 2 straight years that they've been kicked out in straight sets. 2 prelims or 2 finals that have cost them. Ultimately, they won both games on expected score. They've squandered opportunities and they have kissed their premiership window sinks. It gets further away.
Yeah, and a few things that happened. So Max Gawn, the ruckman, he had an easy shot in the third quarter, 20 metres out, slight angle, missed it again like he did a couple of times down GMHBA. He's cost them a game in the past as well. And then he had a snap in the fourth quarter, no good. And he's actually touched Clayton Oliver's set shot from 50 out on the line as well. And, ruckmen usually go for it, or the taller player goes for that ball because it could be touched from the Carlton fan. But he didn't have a good end to the game after dominating early on, and took a big contested mark on pit net, but then missed the goal. So when you kick 6 behinds towards the end and, let Carlton just take the game on and go the other way, that's what happens. You're out in straight sets, 4 finals in a row, all lost at the MCG since their grand final win in 2021.
Yeah, really concerning signs for Melbourne. Interesting what they do in the off season there, Pez, because they'll need to address that forward line structure. They're backing their coach. In this day and age, you can't afford to really sack a coach who's taken them to, two semi-finals and a couple of final series in the top 4. But it's really concerning, and they need a big body forward, or they need someone to build around, because Kazia Pickett didn't do it, Tom McDonald didn't do it, and Petrarca did it in aspects. But in order for them to win the game and keep them in touch, they needed to inject him into that midfield.
Yeah, they need a key forward, and if they had a decent key forward, like even a top 10 key forward in
like
the game,
Ben Brown.
Not like Ben Brown, they would be favourites for the premiership in my book even next year. So they've got to fix that. They pretty much lost at selection as well. Like this Josh Shackey move as
what is
the last 2 weeks in a row. I'm really confused by it. And then not to use him to sub Tom McDonald out of the game when he hasn't done anything for a couple of weeks. Like, so even to have Tom McDonald picked in that side, like, you don't need him as a key forward because he's not going to do anything. He's not going to chase. He's not going to get the ball when it's on the ground. And, the Carlton backs love that. Got Sard running off him and Tom McDonald's not applying any pressure. So Melbourne's things there, big injuries cost them their season. They did. Petty, because he was looking good up forward, and Malcolm. If you put either of those blokes in that side for Tom McDonald, Melbourne would be playing in a prelim.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, injuries happen to all teams, and in order for you to win a premiership, you need to have a pretty elite run with injuries. But also the additional injury of Brayshaw going into that really didn't help. They had also Van Ruin getting suspended as well, another forward that they could have used up there as well to help out.
Yeah, you speak about Melbourne's injuries, and Carlton supporters are saying, "What about us? What about us?" And yes, Harry Mackay being concussed and suspended. That actually suited Melbourne to a T. Stephen May played a heroic game. He would have got best on ground if this is a Brownlow vote sort of game. Mm-hmm. I'd be giving him the 3 votes because he played exceptionally well in that defence. And Lever and May, the way they work together when there's only one forward to curtail with Curnow, absolutely amazing. So if Harry Mackay inserted there, that would have been much better for Carlton. So they had their injury woes as well.
Yeah, they did. And you spoke of Stephen May there. We know he had his 11 intercept marks and 7 of those coming in that second half. Just huge and really limiting that use for Curnow. But what the Carlton have to do this week, and they were fantastic against Melbourne because all they had to do was every time they went down there and they had an opportunity, they took it. Their efficiency inside that 50 was elite, and that's what you got to do against good defensive sides. And you got to be in it to win it. Their ground ball attacking and limiting that those clearances from Gawn, it was elite. It was elite. But Pez, can they keep this run going? They head up to Brisbane. We know Brisbane is a team that has been well documented about their kicking form. 3 weeks in a row can a team lose a game with bad kicking? And that's what Carlton will be hoping.
Yeah, that's definitely what they'll be hoping. We'll get into the analysis of that game a little bit further, but there's a big sound I was hearing about, and they, in their second quarter, took over against Port Adelaide.
They really did, Pez. They did. This one here.
I saw you looking for the button.
Oh, it's just looking for the button.
Was that not an unbelievable performance? And this is where it comes back to, why in the world are you signing on a coach for no reason? They've signed him earlier in the year for 2 more years because they didn't want the media to talk about it. Let the media talk about it. Who cares? If he goes out now, bang. If there's not a clause in that to say you have to win a final or play in a prelim final to keep this 2 years, there's something wrong with the Port Adelaide Footy Club.
I mean, as a Port Adelaide fan, you obviously would be disappointed in you going out in straight sets, but to getting them to a top 4 finish with the way that they started and the list that they had, most people predicted them probably not to be a top 8 list. He's done well with it, but you are correct, Pez. The end result means that they're going home without the silverware. They've squandered a home final as a way of an entry into a prelim.
Playing against 7th.
Yeah.
At home, in front of your home crowd, after coming off a bad loss against the Brisbane Lions away the week before, they needed to do a lot better, but they just didn't have the cattle or the game plan. GWS dominated in the middle. Briggs was absolutely massive again. That's 2 finals in a row, and he's actually going to be, up against Collingwood, who are struggling a little bit in the ruck, as we see. So if Briggs can get a hold in the prelim, that'll be absolutely massive. But their forward line is clicking. It's just all cylinders a go. Canelio came back in and slotted into that midfield amazingly. They've got so many big names, so much talent everywhere. And if they win that ball in the centre and get that ball moving forward, they've got the players down there in Toby Green and Jesse Hogan to keep going and keep that dream alive in September.
Well, we talked about this last week, Pez. The GWS Giants, their list, it doesn't really have any deficiencies, and what I like about the Giants is that we didn't really talk about this last week, but they spoke about this. They spoke about, in the first half of the season that they were going to be a slow-burning team. They're going to be trying to implement this fast-paced, high-contested, high-possession sort of brand of footy, and in the back end of the season, we saw them hit form, and they're not a team that sort of has hit form at the right time, Pez, because this form has been building. Once they've worked out that form, bang, and they're just rolling off the wins. Ward, they've got Canelio, they've got Whitfield, Toby Green, Tom Green. Their list is elite. All around the ground too. Their back line is elite. Their forward line has multiple ways that they can hurt
Sam
you.
Taylor, Harry Himmelberg, eat your heart out. The last, 8 weeks, they've been playing amazing footy down back.
And the thing is that, you look at Collingwood planning for this game, they're going to obviously target, to say Maynard goes to Toby Green because he's had some success there, but they've got Hogan, they've got Riccardi, they've got, Bedford, they've got a couple of those big midfielders that come in and kick it. They're in trouble, I think, Collingwood as well, because they're not coming into form this, and we'll talk about that later, but the GWS Giants, Pez, have been really, really impressive this final series, and the big sound is here.
Yeah, the only thing they haven't been overly impressive in is their kicks at goal. Riccardi, Hogan, they've been pretty inaccurate. So in a prelim final, you got to take your chances to make it to that grand final parade the next week. So we'll see what happens this week. But you speak about Port Adelaide, 2 teams out in straight sets, and since they bought the buy-in source, it's actually skyrocketed up with how many teams actually exit in straight sets, because you didn't see it back in the day before that pre-finals bye.
You are correct, Pez. It's only the first time, though, that we've had 2 teams
since 2014.
2014 both go out in straight sets, which means it's the first time since 2014 that we've had 2 teams make it into the prelim final playing outside of the top 4, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how that works out. So 2023, who's it going to be the year of? You've got the first place Collingwood against 7th place GWS, and then you've got the 2nd place Brisbane Lions taking on Carlton, who finished in 5th place. So it's 4th versus 5th over there, and jump into the review.
Soft review. It's no official review. How does it end? We don't know. They've kind of lost, but they won as well.
Well, I think we need to edit that bet review thing, because it keeps saying that we kind of lost, but I haven't had a losing week in so long, Pez. I just don't want to be lying to the fans.
You haven't. We'll stem your excitement. You go second, because my one's short and sweet. I chucked something on the Melbourne Carlton game. I had the 4-leg multi. 3 of them got up. Kennedy didn't play the role I thought he would play. He played a defensive forward tagging role for all 4 quarters. I thought even in the second half when they were down a bit, they'd insert him into the midfield, but he ended on 12 disposals and didn't get 15, so I get my bonus bet from that, and I didn't use it in the Port Adelaide GWS game the next day. I already had GWS to win at $2.30 on Blue Bet there at 2 units, so I got $2.60 back from that. So a pretty average week, a profit of 0.6 of a unit, and takes me to 39.24 units of profit for the season, which is 23% on the ROI. So yeah, every $100 bet, get $123 back. Don't mind that at all. But then we scroll across and we look over at Source's bet slip, and that GWS game cleaned up.
Absolutely cleaned up, Pez. I was riding a bonus after the over 148 failed. So there was some bad goal kicking. Expected still had that one actually winning as the over. But the other things that I spoke about, Pez, is it definitely came into fruition that I said that any team who goes out in straight sets under 90 in both games, teams went out in straight sets under 90.5. So there's the stats for you there. I had 1 unit in the Port Adelaide game on that, and then I had my GWS money line, which we both had. We were on the big sound. That paid out at halftime. I think it did. So that was we
were pretty comfortable 10 minutes into the second.
Yeah, it was very nicely, Pez. And then when I said there was a huge deficiency in the forward line with Alia. Boom. Jay Hogan, 3 goals was my sports bet, 1 unit. And then I had Jay Hogan. Most goals, Pez. 650, and chucked my bonus on that one,
Popped
Pez.
it out on Twitter there.
Absolutely went nuts.
But from the looks of it, from what you've done, you've actually split that bonus. So that's a 1 unit bonus there at the 650, which is absolutely massive with a huge profit there. And it gives you another bonus to play with this week.
Yeah, and I've put that one down on something a little bit cheeky as well there, Pez, just to keep building. But that meant my round for round 24, Pez. 8 units I staked, and I returned pure profit, 9.38 units, an ROI of 117, Pez, and I am absolutely ticking along. I said to you off show last week, I said I was aiming for 100 units, and you said, oh yeah, maybe by the end of the season. I almost cleaned it up then, Pez. I was getting very close to putting something else on and trying to go for the 100.
Yeah, with the vocab as well, you didn't return 9, you profited 9. So if it was returned, just for those out there, you actually would have returned 17.38 units, which is just to stop any confusion happening out there for the listeners.
Any confusion, Pez. I mean, people just look at this big number here. The profit I've made for this season, 93 units, Pez. That's all you need to look at. That's the profit.
That's uncharted territory. That's the most out of an individual in our podcasting years, and that's really, really hard to do after 6 years.
And there's no cheekies in this one, Pez. This is we actually used to have quite big profits in there, but we would have a couple of cheekies that would hit here and there. But that's just been straight analysis, Pez. And for the two of us combined, 132 units, Pez. A lot of podcasts talk about how they have 6 or 7 or 8 winning weeks. We're documented. We have it all up on there. We have our trends and our analysts on here. We have our leans on here. That is pure accountable profit.
I wouldn't have dreamed of this at the start of the season. Like if I
always
if you tell me this at the start of the season that this is what your betting on AFL season is going to look like, I'll be like, yes, thank you very much. I'll take that every day of the week. So 132, nothing to write home about there. And we can keep building. You're 6.5 away, 3 games of footy to go to try and break the 100-unit mark.
The fact that the size of the bets was relatively small.
Now Bex with an opportunity about 50 metres out.
I was with a mate and we were getting sort of ready to leave, and he said, I think I'm going to whack 10 on Maxi. Do you want some as well? And I said,
Oh, yes! Yes! Yes!
And I know we just talked about something special in my bet slips and my profit, but we'll talk about something else a bit special.
Cyril takes a special and goes bang.
Yeah, Sportsbet have the same game multi bonus bet back.
The free
if any
hit,
leagues fails. The free, you love saying it's the free hit. We've got Tab with the one disposal thing. So if you have a play for 15 disposals, they get 14. It pays it out as a winner.
A little bit cheeky in finals though, because generally disposals go down, but I've got a little bit of an insight about disposals coming in.
Excellent. Neds have the 12 up promo this week as well as Blue Bet. And then lads just have their 3+ leg same game multi, 1 per game, up to $50 in bonus back. If anything else happens or comes out, keep an eye out on that and how you can take advantage and make some money this weekend.
Make some money this weekend. That's what we'll be aiming to do. Starting things off, Pairs, with the Friday night clash. First taking on 7th, as you said. Winner goes into a grand final. Loser goes home. Collingwood taking on GWS. $1.53 favourites are the Magpies. $2.45 outsiders GWS. Minus 10.5 is the line. Over under 167.5. Pairs. We spoke about the crowd. This is going to be so big, and I can't help but think about the last time these two teams met in a prelim final, Pez, and the result there and how excited we were, not only with getting on painting the town orange, but Collingwood losing, which is always good.
Yeah, it was a very intense game, a 4-point win to GWS, and they've never actually lost to Collingwood in a prelim final. Mind you, it's all in their short career, so we'll see what happens on Friday night. If I remember correctly, that was a Saturday twilight-ish sort of game, wasn't it?
It would finish. No, it was like a Saturday 2:00 start. It would have finished about 5:00 because we were hoeing down some cheeky HSPs, having a gut full of beer before we were about to head out. Pez.
4 years ago, that's insane stuff. So this Friday night will be a little bit different, definitely in my case anyway. But we'll still be watching Collingwood take on the Giants, and where I think the Giants have an advantage is in the ruck with Briggs, and what he loves to do is he loves to push out the opponent ruckman. And he loves to grab the ball and get that ball moving forward. And when you've got Toby Green down there making his magic, not so much getting his 30 disposals like he used to get Sauce, but they like to use that term general. He's that general up forward, and he makes sure everyone's in the right spot. Toby Bedford, his second half of the year since GWS have come up the ladder, he has been lightning quick, and he's just running forward and doing everything he can. GWS really need to take advantage, because if they bomb the ball inside forward 50 and do silly things, Darcy Moore's going to eat it up back there. They're going to run that ball out. Nick Dacos, named fit, he'll be named in the side come 6:25 tonight, and Collingwood Army are going to be there with 90,000+ people, and they've been the best team all year. They've teed it off, and see what will happen here. If you could say first versus 7th, and you said this 2 months ago, you would have said the odds for Collingwood to win are $1.15 against GWS. But they're sitting at $1.53. So whatever team you do like, there is some value for Collingwood if you look at it in that case. But I'm really interested in the team selection, because if they go in with Darcy Cameron and Mason Cox and Dan McStay and
surely there's only one change. Surely there's just Adams out, and then they just put in Dacos.
And Dacos comes in. So
that's what you surely have to do.
But if they do go in with all those tools, I think Taylor and Himmelberg can say a bit down there, and Whitfield coming off that back line. The thing that gets me about watching GWS since their run is their skill and their talent that they have, and their skill execution. And the way they did it against the Saints at the MCG, they did it a couple of weeks ago, and then they went over to Port Adelaide. They don't care where they play. They don't have a home crowd advantage if they play at Giant Stadium anyway. So they'll be to all the boos and everything from the crowd, and nothing to lose sort of stuff. But I love what Kingsley said during the week He goes, we've got a preliminary final to lose. It's not like we're going there thinking we're going to lose. That's what the nothing to lose mentality is. We're going in there thinking we're going to win. We're going to prepare for a grand final the following week, and that's what we have to lose. So great words from first-year coach and coach of the year.
And they really are bringing in a lot of form pairs. I know we mentioned before about the win streak coming in, and you said, 5 weeks ago, if you said, first, seventh, and you'd be talking about a different team as well. You'd be talking about Western Bulldogs or Essendon, because GWS weren't even in the picture. Both these teams, Carlton and GWS, going back, I think it was round 10 or round 10 or 11, they were sitting 15th and 14th. Both these teams are switched it on, and what I like about GWS is Carlton were that slow build. GWS have just adjusted their game plan, and the moment they've adjusted and they actually understand it, they've been in ripping form. They have so many advantages around the field, Pez. We talked about, Briggs being the way that he controls that footy, grabbing the ball and bombing it forward, and as soon as he gets it. You look at what Max Gawn did against Collingwood, and that similar sort of thing. It's going to be a drier day tomorrow night. He's probably going to get a lot of that pill. Him forget 15 or more disposals, Pez, sitting $1.43. You like that. But what I don't like is for GWS is that they can't go ahead with that, because Collingwood are the number one team from points from turnovers, they are points from clearance differential, points from the defensive 50 change. They hurt you when you rush the ball forward and turn it over, and they are a high-pressure side, which GWS really have been quite the opposite. They just want to get the ball going, they just run, they just continually want to move that ball forward. It's going to be polar opposites of game plans if they want it to be a, if they want to get a win, GWS, it's going to be a fast game. It's going to be high scoring, I think. Really interested to see how this unfolds.
Yeah, it's excitement. Excitement level is very, very high. I think Collingwood need to use some pace up forward to be able to break away and do that. So Bobby Hill plays a big role up in the forward line there. Probably not so much in their best side early on, and McCreary as well. In that forward line, and then maybe even moving into the midfield if they start to struggle, because they might need to insert that pace in. So they run off the back line. They've got big time players as well. So Jordan De Goey can win you a game if he kicks 2 or 3 and he's running out of that centre bounce. You got Pendlebury with the skills. You got so many great names on both sides of this, and this is definitely Collingwood's game to lose.
It is. I think that. It is because of where they've come from. They obviously have been one of the top teams of the season.
It'd be a massive failure if they lose.
It would be a massive failure. But I also wonder if you look at the sort of form that they've had, Pez. They've played one game in the last month. The lead up into the finals, they had that week off. They've been really struggling in form. If you look at expected score, they actually lost that game against Melbourne. They didn't do a lot right, Collingwood, except for pressure Melbourne to having continual misses.
They pressured turnover and then went down the other end. They didn't kick straight themselves.
They didn't kick straight themselves.
But
I think that GWS are the team that's in form. I actually really like GWS's chances in this one. The 18.5 is an incredible line, a 3-goal line from a team that is lost once over the last 2 months. That's playing a better brand of football. Is playing a brand that is designed for football. I think GWS are a real shot in this one, and 18.5 is a great line.
I'm hoping you're correct. And do you think because they've continually played week after week, big finals, do you think there's any burnout or anything for the Giants?
I think if you look at the finals burnout of 2019 when they made in there, they had 3 weeks in a row where they just had those tight games. But if you look at the Port Adelaide game, Pez, Qs were in the rack after the third quarter.
Easy.
Like they Port Adelaide fans were leaving at the fourth quarter. You look at the week before,
Qs in the rack.
Do you know what I mean? Like they haven't had the same preparation as they did in the 2019 when they went into Richmond, and they sort of went, oh, thank God, and their bodies were bruised and they were battered. But in this case here, they've had active football with a break in the last quarter. They're coming off a short day break. I think it's a 5-day break compared to the 7 days that they were, or the 14 days that Collingwood are going to have resting for it. So that is a little bit of a concern. But in this team and this will and this belief, you look at Tom Green coming off the field, the first week, anywhere, anytime, we bring the smoke. And then this week walking off, I told you, boys, I told you, we're not scared of, they're not scared of anyone. There was Stevie J was talking on a podcast earlier this week that he's spoken to some of the guys, and they all believe that they're ready coming down to Melbourne. Like they've already, some of them are already talking about staying there for the week. Like they are set and they're on this grand final, and it's a belief that we saw Collingwood the year before really have, and now GWS have got that belief. It's very interesting, and I think that I think they can do it.
Oh yeah, but it's very exciting. It's goosebumps sort of stuff. And when this ball gets bounced tomorrow night, it is going to be all eyes glued. And hopefully we get a good contest. We definitely are from that first bounce with these two midfields going head to head. So Sportsbet, as we mentioned, have that special their source. So I'm going to stick with that and have a 2-leg same game multi. And I'm just going to go a range of the over and under. So the over under sits at 167.5 over here on Sportsbet. And final, I'm going under because I think that it's going to be tightly contested. They scored a combined 110 points last time in a final. I know it was different conditions. It was rain as well. But I just think Collingwood or GWS, whoever is falling behind, really need to get that player behind the ball and lock things up. So under 167. And my other one is pick your own line over 146.5. So pretty much the total game score to be between 147 and 167, giving me that 20-point buffer. And that's $2.75. And I'll be putting a unit on that one.
I don't love that bet.
I could see your face, so I don't give a shit.
I've gone old school and my notes say otherwise, Pez.
It's got a book out.
What I like about this, Pez, is that the unique situation that we are in finals, that we have two games where the two teams outside of the top four are in there.
Can't take you seriously with that book.
It's good, isn't it? The little green book. But like 8 times over, it's only 8 times over the last 12 years that two teams outside of the four, or eight times over the last 12 years, a team has gone into the games. We've had 8 sample sizes that we're able to measure from. In those ones there, Pez, the average score has been, or the average betting line has been 164. So that's where the average betting line has been. 7 out of those 8 times where it's been a team outside of the top 4, the game has gone over. The only other time it was not over was the Collingwood versus GWS one. 2 very different teams though. So that direct comparison is quite difficult because they're playing different brands of footy.
I'm not sure if they have this. In the, what did you say, 7 of them went over?
Yep.
In those 7 games, how many of those were blowouts?
There was only 4 blowouts.
So 4 out of the 7. Okay.
I can get into that one if you want, Pez. I've got all that stuff there.
You keep talking. The floor is yours.
The floor is mine. But so I think that besides that one game, I think that the trend has been over. If you look at the way Collingwood have been playing and GWS have been playing, their score for the seasons have been 85 plus both teams. That's roughly where they're averaging. I think this game will go over. So I've got that in my same game multi-pairs, as well as the plus GWS 30.5. I think this game is going to be a close game, and I've got 2 units on that one at 270. So I think it's going to be a close game. That's my same game multi-pairs. If you're looking at the margin for any of these games, and I might go into this in the next one, but most of the games are pretty close in that one. It's a bit of a spread. So if you think the game's going to be close, which sounds silly, Pez, if you think it's going to be close, it is always close. 4 times there's been single digits in those times. If you think it's going to not be close, it's 25 plus, right? And that sounds really. Well, if you think a team has a stricter advantage, it goes over and it goes over big. So it's not 10-point wins, there's not 15-point wins, it goes 25 plus all the way up to 70. 3 times it's been over 70 in these sort of games. The rest of them, there's only been 4 times it's been single digits. So it's either really close or it's 25 plus. You don't get that 3-goal margin. So I think that either team to win by 15 or less in this game, 265, and I've put a unit on that one.
Okay, different way to talk about it being a close game, under 15.5. The little try bet.
Yeah, well, if you look at it, as I said, Pez, so there's been 12 times.
It's either close or it's a blowout, and you're saying it's not going to be a blowout.
Only 4 times, and that was 3 points, 2 points, 4 points, and I think 5 points. So I think it's only been very close. And then there it goes 25 plus. 4 of those games, Pez, have been over 50 points. 3 of them over 70.
Could go down to the wire. Imagine any player, it doesn't matter, GWS or Collingwood, kicking near the end of the game to take the lead. It's intense stuff, and it'd be interesting to see if the MCC members actually roll up and line up and fill that stadium to capacity.
It will be really interesting, Pez. And what was even more interesting when I was looking at this, over the last 12 years, 13 years that they've had this, 18.5 for this line is the 3rd highest line that they've had in this prelim final where there's been a team outside of the 8. It's the 3rd biggest, 18.5. So that again shows you it's going to be if it's going to be a close game, it's going to be really close.
We'll take your word for it.
Take my
at
word for it.
93 and continue to go. So you got the 2 bets on for this game at the moment.
I do have the 2 bets for that one.
2 bets locked in. I've got
a few
the
more
one.
bets in the next one.
I've got the one, and the next game is where I like a few things as well. And we've got Brisbane Lions taking on Carlton.
And what I like, Pez, is we've both got that bonus bet alive too for us. So that's we've still got the bonus there floating.
Oh, can I just say, you got a package at the door during the week.
Yeah.
And unbelievable. Didn't know who it was from. So Cam Rayner's sent down from Brisbane.
I thought you said I got a package.
No.
I was waiting
sent
for
down a little Brisbane dress for my daughter, which is pretty ludicrous.
Ludicrous
not
again.
very
You use
good.
that word.
I'm using
that's
it.
the third time it's come up this podcast.
It's not good. It's not good at all.
I actually keep
I've used
using
it twice.
ludicrous. If
You've used it
your
once.
replacement is it's not good, well, then keep using ludicrous.
Well, it's shithouse because
But as you said,
she had to do it.
Cam Rayner, friend of the show, has sent in, done a little bit cheeky for
and
your
sent
daughter.
out a little Brisbane Lions My First Sharon, which was wrong.
Which is wrong because you would have had the St Kilda one.
Madden's had my son. He's had plenty of other Sharons. So
any St Kilda First Sharon?
Yeah, My First Sharon St Kilda. So
The hand-me-down
I might have
hand-me-down from Chloe,
I might have
though?
to cross out the first and write like 5th or something.
No, you probably
as Sharon.
the
so.
final.
I
Maybe the first Sharon from a team playing who won a final this year. Maybe that's in the year he was born.
Yeah, maybe it is. Like I am going for the Brisbane Lions because of him, but yeah, just steer clear a little bit.
Very cheeky, very cheeky.
Yeah, very, very.
Maybe it's my first Sharon for a team that wins a premiership in the year that I was born. That's a good memento.
Oh, well, maybe you can just win a Norm Smith or something and then give me a signed jersey.
Cheeky,
That'd be pretty good, wouldn't it?
cheeky odds for him to win a Norm Smith. I wouldn't mind a bit of that. But let's get through Carlton first. Brisbane taking on Carlton, of course, as we spoke. $1.37 favourites, the Lions. 3.13 outsiders, the Carlton Blues. Minus 18.5 is the line, over under 166.5.
Yeah, 166. 166. Usually it's a 170 plus up at the Gabba.
That's all that is, Pez, is just the average of these sort of
two teams?
finals.
These
These sort of finals. As I said, there's 12 options from it, and that average was 167. So that's where that number comes from.
Yep, excellent. And I want to speak about the time a little bit as well because you've got
What is this bullshit time?
Well,
Brisbane, just have daylight savings. I'm furious about this. I've got a Bucks party that starts at 5 o'clock, and one of the boys is one of the Bucks. Well, one of the Bucks, sorry. One of the guys part of it is a Carlton fan. This is ridiculous.
Well, why are people booking things in on preliminary final
Just
weekend?
as ridiculous. Well, because he's a Carlton fan, so he didn't think that's
Usually holidays are in
Usually
September.
holidays.
But the
Holidays is
reason
March.
they've gone earlier, is because the Brisbane Broncos are playing in Queensland
piss
that
off.
night in a preliminary final. So they didn't want to compete with that. But
So
they've
go
gone
early.
stupid.
Go daytime.
They should have gone the 2:10. They should
2:10.
have gone the original daytime because then it gives fans of both the Brisbane Lions and the Brisbane Broncos a chance to get to both games. You don't want to be sitting there. You're going to have to choose.
Making them choose.
And most of them are going to choose the Brisbane Broncos being from
And
Queensland.
like the AFL, what do they think they're going to be smarter by starting it earlier? Because they're going to stay on there because they're going to be so captivated by the Lions.
Oh, they'll at least
Come on, man.
They'll get TV time, but
Yeah, but they'll only get the first half, and then as soon as it switches over, boom, they'll go straight over to
and
the
I don't know.
NRL.
Is it because they want to give Carlton a better chance as well? Because if they're playing in the heat in the middle of the day, like 3 hours earlier,
Yeah.
and this isn't a joke, like Brisbane have a bigger advantage being training up there all the time and Carlton being from Melbourne. Now that's 5:15, it's going to be about 20 degrees, so it's still a little bit different
Yeah,
for
but
Carlton.
you're not going to have the dew of
You're not going to have that
yeah.
sun. You're not going to have those different conditions. So I'm not thrilled with the time.
I mean,
is,
the
my
AFL.
first point.
I mean, the AFL. If you look at everyone talks about the AFL being fair or whatever, but the AFL's a business. They're there to make money, and for them to make money, they want Carlton and Collingwood, and that would be absolutely unbelievable. I mean, it's not something that I want, but it would be absolutely unbelievable.
The whole of Victoria is going to, will definitely. There'll be looting. There'll be rioting.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the town's going to be burnt. But
There'll be two
doesn't matter who.
sections of the town that will be burnt. One, Lygon Street will be absolutely up in flames if they win, and if they lose, it'll be up in flames. And it'll be the opposite, in Collingwood, like horrible.
It's.
But either way, like that's what the AFL wants. So like for them, they just want any sort of conditions. So I can see them definitely planning that around that heat and giving the Carlton an advantage. But let's get into the game anyway, Pez. We've talked about the weather. We've talked about Cam Rayner's cheeky little gift. Let's talk about the actual game. Brisbane, they've had a week off. They've played once in a month. They look fantastic. Carlton, twice now, have sort of snuck over the line. They've stayed alive. And the one thing Carlton are doing well, and they are continually doing, is every time they go into that forward line, they're making it count. Their efficiency rate is through the roof, and they've been the most efficient team in the AFL finals this season, and that's why they're still alive.
Yeah, and just taking the chances when they can. Blake Acres kicking the sealer in both games pretty much.
What did you think about that sealer that he
play
kicked,
on?
right? Why is he play? If they had come back and lost that is a dumb. He could have burnt 30 seconds off the clock and you know
He nearly missed it as well.
because they weren't going to lose. They could either draw or they could they could have gone up by 5
Well, they're down by
points.
5 points.
Yeah.
So if he missed it
Yeah.
from the set shot, they're still down.
He's
So
not going to miss that, is he?
I think
He wasn't playing for Melbourne.
I think that he didn't want the added pressure.
Well, he almost got
of it.
tackled as well.
And then he's played on and nearly hit the post, but it's gone through and it's paid off in the end. But it was a nervous 56 seconds left on the clock for Carlton supporters, but the MCG was absolutely alight. Different things up at the Gabba. So last time Brisbane played in a prelim up at the Gabba, they were playing against your Pussycats
They were.
up there with the perfect chance. You guys win and you get a grand final at your home ground, which was one of the first ever, not at the MCG. So this time, have they learned from their mistakes in the past? The thing about Brisbane, and you always get nervous, is their goal kicking, and are they going to be accurate? Because they've had those problems for 5 years. They've been probably the best team over the span of 5 years without actually playing
With
in the grand
nothing,
final.
nothing to show for
Yeah,
it.
without
And
actually
like
playing in the
nothing to
final
show for
and
it.
doing anything. But
They've
they've
had
had
a straight sets exit, and then they've had multiple times where they've just
one
absolutely come
final
up short.
and out. Yeah, it's very, very, like, if they don't get it in the next few years,
Well,
it's a big
this
waste.
has to be the year. This has been the slow build. This has been the learning from the master. You know, they got absolutely pounced last year by 71 points against Geelong. You go back before, the couple of years before when they had the prelim, it was that unusual opportunity against Geelong. So lucky for them, Geelong's not playing. But like for them, it's been that slow build. This has to be there. They're now experienced in this situation. They've got the talent. Everything is pointing in their favour. They have to capitalise.
They've got the midfield to win it. They've got the forward line to play against Carlton with, Kemp back there and Sard back there. I reckon they can manoeuvre and do that. And they've got the players that are playing well down in defence. You got Harris Andrews back there. You've got Payne. Is Payne going to get up this week as well? So he's actually been playing really well. And we weren't sure if he was in the best 22 at the start of the year. Lester's been playing his role throughout the year as well. So I think you'd be all over Brisbane to win this one. And Carlton, this is a true, we've got nothing to lose. We're travelling up there and going for this. But you can't help but be excited if you're a Carlton supporter, because you're actually in a prelim final for the first time in, I don't even know how long their source, but they haven't played in the final series for 10 years. So them to just beat Sydney in elimination final, can you imagine if they get close and what happens here in a preliminary final?
And that's what Brisbane, probably the biggest fear that will happen to Brisbane is two things, Pez. They're a team that controls the forward half differential. They're number 3 in the whole league, Pez. They average, per possession, basically 6 minutes 30 in that forward half per scoring shot or per entry or whatever it is, compared to Carlton's minus 4 minutes 30. Like they don't spend a lot of time down there, Carlton. But if Brisbane have controlled that ball as much as they do in that forward line, and they don't have something to show from it, and Carlton go down and they kick a goal, that's where Brisbane will be in trouble. That's when the mental game will come into it. That's when the belief will start growing from Carlton. And the one thing that I guess that they don't have is they won't have that home crowd sort of cheering them on, and that helps build belief. They'll still have a portion of Brisbane
Might be a shit ton of Carlton
there'll be a
fans up
shit
there.
ton of Carlton fans that will help that belief. Brisbane have to capitalise early. They have to get on top of it. They have so many different weapons that can score. They need to just continue to do what they're doing, really utilise Danaher. As much as you and I probably don't like Danaher as a footballer, the way that he actually is playing at the moment, really creating some strong leads. He's not just swinging over his shoulder. Charlie Cameron can go absolutely loose. Look at what Keziah Pickett did last week. He was inaccurate, but they really didn't have a handle on him. Cameron is a classier sort of version of Keziah Pickett around the body, picking up those crumbs. It's really going to be a ground ball game in that forward line, and I think Brisbane have the tools to win.
Yeah, I love what you're saying there. You got Zach Bailey as well, who is an absolute master at forward 50 stoppages, and he just finds space where there is none. And they can really take advantage of Carlton's weakness there. So McInerney in the ruck, tap down. Is Bailey going to come through? Is Cameron going to get on the run? How are they going to score the goals? They should not care one little bit how they score the goals. Just get that ball through the sticks and continue that trend going, and booking a date with Collingwood or GWS at the MCG the next week.
Definitely, Pez. We were both on Brisbane in this one, obviously.
Oh, to an extent, with the bets, yeah, definitely.
Oh,
Definitely. So my first bet, I looked at the over under there, and if I'm thinking it's going to be a blowout, and I think the Lions are going to take full advantage, I've gone over to Bet365 and just chucked a unit on Brisbane's total game score to be over 92.5, because I think if Carlton's heads drop and Brisbane get that music going, the roar going of the crowd, it'll just be a pile-on. And Brisbane to score 93 or more for me there for one unit. And I've put my bonus bet from last week, Source, in a little 5-leg same game multi here. So quarter time line, Brisbane have to come out on fire, -4.5. So Brisbane to be leading by 5 or more at quarter time. Half-time line, -9.5. So Brisbane to be leading by 10 or more. Three-quarter time line, -13.5. Brisbane to be leading at 14 or more at three-quarter time. And then in the last quarter only, Brisbane -5.5. So in the last quarter, scores start 0-0. They've got to win by 6 or more. And then pick your own line is my final leg, Brisbane -29.5. So they're going to win the game by 30 or more. All up, that's $4.50. And I'll put my bonus from last week on that.
I love it, Pez. I'm all with you with Brisbane, absolutely dominating this one, being in control. Everything is in favour of them, as I said. I've gone a range of different ones with this, Pez. I've got one unit on them, 25 plus, so $2.15, 25 plus. I love that. 5 out of the 8 times that we talked about, so 5 out of the 8 those 8 games that we had the sample size from, where a team is outside of the 8. That's happened 5 out of 8 times, 25 plus wins. So I like that one. I've put another unit, Pez, 0.5 unit on the 40 plus, Brisbane, $3.60. I've put my bonus bet on 49.5 alternate line at 5.25. I think that's where it's going to sit. It's, all of those games we spoke about, they go over, they go big. And then I've put a little cheeky 0.5 unit on 70.5 pairs at $12.50. So I've got 2 units in that game, that's all. But it's all on Brisbane winning heavily. 3 out of the last 8 pairs where we've had a team outside of the top 8 has been 70 plus wins. 2 of those games, actually 71 points.
So in this one, you've got a little, it's like a main bet, which if that gets up, it covers all your other bets type of thing. So your main bet's at 25 plus.
Well, my main bet is the 25 plus, yeah.
And then you got the 40 plus, and then it's just very cheeky up at the.
I mean, hopefully,
70
look, if they win by 50, that basically covers 3 of my bets, because the bonus will pay out big at $5.25.
Yeah, and you're going from there. So that's absolutely huge, all over the Brisbane Lions, and we've got to have a look at this one. It's just going to be excitement city, and then there's the build up for grand final, and I've nearly forgotten as well. Brownlow Medal on Monday night.
Ooh, yeah, money making Brownlow. I like the Brownlow. The Brownlow is where you can make a lot of money as well.
Yeah, you have to be very careful.
Not on the actual winner, but you can win on like individual games. You can win. They do all these cheeky little head to heads. You do like top 5 finishes.
Don't fall for. So my best thing that I would do is game by game. So who's going to poll the 3, the 2, the 1 in each individual game? So you have a look through the stats, you use your memory bank. Sometimes you take notes throughout the year, which I always end up dismissing after round 2 and just go off by what I was watching.
Well, last year the 4 games that you went to, they all failed. So you must be watching the game.
Oh, you like to make up shit when I don't have it right here.
You did remember?
No,
you had your little note. It was your St Kilda game. Yep.
It was huge last year.
We won a lot of money last year.
It was fantastic. So we'll try and do the same on Monday as well, and that's the strategy you go with. And don't fall into the trap of $1.05 to $1.10 to $1.15 to get 3 votes, because that's not where the value is. You might be able to find some juicy $2 odds to
like the single vote games where you're like a player to poll a vote.
Oh, they're really good.
Some
as
good
well.
little markets there. You can get some good odds there. Obviously, you're looking for the $2 sort of mark for some of those. You go through the games, as we said. You go through, look at. There's a heap of resources out there, like the Herald Sun. You got the Neds do a good little Betfair do one. You got the AFL the Coaches Awards. A lot of different data points you can get to try and see if there's an advantage.
Get your own data is my advice, and don't follow the odds from the bookies, and don't go, all right, this player's favourite, so they must win, because it usually doesn't happen anyway. So they've got no idea what the umpires are going to do.
Umpires award, and they've got no idea at the best of times.
So yeah, stay away from just going solely off what the odds are saying, and do your own research, or just don't bet on it. Or if you're not going to put in the time, don't put your money towards it. So there we have it, preliminary final weekend.
It is a good event to watch with a little bit of a cheeky bet going through. If you spend an hour beforehand and put a couple of bets down each round, it makes it a lot more interesting than watching good old Gil. Well, he's not Gil anymore, is it? Who's the CEO? Will he read it out this year?
Is he reading it this year? Is it Andrew Dillon?
Will he read it out this year?
Who gives two shits?
But it's a lot more fun watching someone else read 3 votes this when you've got a bit of cashola on
I
it.
actually like the little highlight reel from the round, and you're like, oh yeah, that happened, and they do the mark of the year, goal of the year. So we'll see all of that, and we'll know who the 2 grand final teams are as well. So exciting stuff. Bets will be there at Twitter, at Behind the Bound, TikTok, Instagram, all of that as well. I'm Pez. Peace out.
I'm still Sauce. We'll catch up next time.
No!